This is the Mainframe Connect podcast, brought to you by the Linux Foundation's Open Mainframe project. Sponsored by Phoenix Software International and by Infinity, a Converge company. Mainframe Connect includes the I Am a Mainframer series, the Riveting Mainframe Voices series, and other content exploring relevant topics with mainframe professionals and offering insights into the industry and technology. Today's episode is another in the I Am a Mainframer series, exploring the career journeys of mainframe professionals.
Hello and welcome. My name's Steven Dickens and you're joining us here for another episode of the I'm a Mainframer podcast, brought to you by the Linux Foundation. And today, our guest is Natalie Carrillo from IBM. Hey Natalie, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, you told me off camera that you're a fan of the show, so I'm looking forward to this.
I am. I'm really I've heard several episodes. Donis Hude from Phoenix Software, a lot of episodes, so yes.
Fantastic. Well, we're really grateful to have you on the show. So let's dive in, get our listeners and our viewers orientated. Tell us a little bit about you, what you do. Give us a little bit, if you will, of once you've done the initial introductions, your mainframe journey, and then we'll use that as a jumping off point.
Yes. So that's a good question. I am accountable for nurture and retention of our ISVs on the IBM Z platform globally. ISVs stands for Independent Software Vendors.
Mm-hmm.
My team has a big focus on really building a vibrant, diverse, and skilled community, working with our ISVs, bringing their applications to the platform. In addition, developer outreach, ensuring that we have that talent pipeline for the platform. So it's a very fun and unique role. You have the privilege to collaborate with the ISVs during different stages of their development cycle. It could be early testing, it could be enabling new technology, enabling adoption of new technology, working in events, working in joint advocacy plans. So it's a fascinating role. You get to see how ISVs are doing business around the world. Some of them developing applications, some of them are developing tools, and within those two categories, they specialize in different areas, right? It could be security, it could be automation, it could be workload management. And being part of those conversations is truly remarkable, especially now, right? With the launch of the new Z17, there is a lot of excitement in the market, new use cases, especially with AI, and I feel that I'm learning every day, like literally every day, especially me, because I don't have a technical background, right?
Also, let's use that as a jumping off point into the next bit of the conversation. So, how did you end up in the ecosystem team? How did you end up kind of joining IBM? Was it straight out of college? And how did you end up on the mainframe? Because that's the kind of arc that we find on these podcasts tends to be the most interesting, how people kind of ended up here. So maybe just double click on that for us for a moment.
Yes, so I have to admit though, I was torn between studying systems engineering and marketing, right? And then I decided marketing, and it's so funny because I've been working with highly technical teams for almost 15 years. So I used to work on the distributed side, also working with ISVs, but focus on the software, right? IT management, things like big data and security in marketing optimization, and I enjoyed it, right? I enjoy the human element. I enjoy working with people and solving problems and really building those relationships. So when this opportunity to work with the community came up, it just made sense to do something related to the community, but with a technology that is very relevant to the world, right? So I still remember my interview. She was a very nice lady with a fantastic New York accent. I love New York accents, the Boston accents. I don't know why. Anyway, so she said, "Oh, okay. I think we're ready to move forward to the final interview with our executive." Right? Okay. So I show up to the final interview, and then the executive never shows up. So I'm like, oh my God, I think they already hired someone. So I reached out to my manager, and she said, oh, don't worry, I just forgot to send the invite to the executive. Don't worry about it. Okay. So when the interview finally happened, she was very smart and nice lady. I still remember the question that she asked me, and one of those questions was, how do you handle difficult conversations? Now, I answered it. I don't remember what I said now, but I answered it, right? And just before closing the call, she asked me the same question again. And I thought, oh, this is not good. That's what I thought. This is not good, right? And I remember I got home and my husband asked me, how was the interview? I said, I am not sure I'm going to get selected. Oh, right. And then 5 years later, I'm still work with IBM, right? And it feels that it's been honestly like 2 years. There's no better time to be a mainframer than today, especially from a technology perspective, but from a community standpoint, the mainframe community is very welcoming. I remember the first industry event that I attended. It was Share, and they asked me, "Is this your first Share?" Yes, and people were like, "Oh my God, let me introduce you to so and so. You need to meet so and so." So I think that combination, technology and community, is what makes people, continue to work with the mainframe, keeps them engaged, and even if they change roles or switch companies, they still continue to work with the mainframe.
So I think you mentioned something really fascinating about this community. I've been in this community now, 11, 12 years. I think there's a really different community around this technology than I've seen around others. I think there is other technology communities. I think the differentiator, and you talked about it, is the desire to help people through this community. And it's fascinating. I think this gives me a segue into my sort of next question. You talk about how you help people to onboard, and you mentioned something there that I want to pull back to. I genuinely believe it is the most interesting time to be a mainframer. I think there's a vibrancy and there's a sort of renewed technology piece. You mentioned AI. What are we, 10 minutes into the podcast now? It's kind of 2025. We've got to mention AI at least 5 times in every 2 minutes. But joking aside, how are you working with vendors to onboard, and how are you seeing that AI conversation play out as they look to adopt and sort of start to experiment with things like Spire and the capabilities in Z17? I think the way I look at it is it's a chance to engage new partners, engage existing partners in different conversations. That's how I'd think it would play out. What are you seeing, and how are you seeing that manifest in your day-to-day?
Well, there is, of course, a lot of conversations, assistants, but really advanced agents, right? With Watson X Assistant, but really we have those advanced agents and how they're helping them to onboard new people, right? From a skills perspective, what sometimes, maybe 1 year ago, it will take them to find someone who could understand certain aspects of the mainframe in 1 year. We're cutting that time to half, right? So that's really a use case that I've heard a lot on the market, and they're leveraging AI.
Mm-hmm. So are you having that conversation at a technology level around sort of spire exploitation, or are you having that conversation at a more complete stack type level? How, maybe just sort of double click there if you would and sort of give me some more context.
Yes, how they can leverage everything from a technology perspective, either the hardware component, but in combination with the software, right?
Mm-hmm.
And take full advantage of the current investments as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that those conversations really help to understand different use cases and how they're also helping our mutual customers.
So, Natalie, tell me if you would just talk me through at a high level, not at the technology level, talk me through at the high level. I'm a new ISV. I've got a banking application, let's pick that one. And I look at it and go, hey, the mainframe's got a huge install base in the sector that I want to sell in. How do I engage with IBM? What does that sort of overall program look like for me to engage? What type of support, marketing, technical, can I expect to get as an ISV as I look to come through into this type of program?
Yes, that's a good question. So we have several development programs that will help an ISV to meet them where they are,
Mm-hmm.
right? Either it could be leveraging our data centers, right? Or it could be maybe getting access to the CPDT system, or even starting working with their own mainframe, right? So the advantage of those development programs is that we can help you to really take advantage of the technology and work with you in joint advocacy plans. So
Mm-hmm.
it goes hand in hand, and we can kind of divide and conquer and work together to really provide the best optimal result to our mutual customer.
So is that technical help? Is that marketing help? Is that planning, go-to-market help? Is it across the entire stack, right?
Yes, yes, and really help them to advance through the journey also with skills, right? We have several skills program. They can leverage badges. They can leverage also some marketing components. So it's really, really a very complete program where we can help them to really progress on their journey.
So we'll start to bring this home now. If you look at where this program fits, one of the sort of key pieces I try and sort of understand is people's journey with the platform. You've got the chance to go back and chat to Natalie, age 22, 21, when you're coming out of college. We have a lot of college kids who listen to this podcast and who are looking to build a career in tech. What advice would you be giving them? You've obviously built a career in IBM off the back of this technology. What advice would you be giving them to sort of start that journey?
I would say don't be afraid to fail. The greatest breakthroughs don't come from playing it safe. They don't.
I love that. I love that.
No, they come from curiosity and resilience and the courage to share your ideas, even if you're new, right? But that is fantastic. But it takes courage. Failure will teach you more than success ever could.
I love that. That's the tagline for this. Failure will teach you more than success. That's the tagline for this. If we're trying to snip a clip it to our producer team to promote this episode, that's the sentence right there. The other question I ask, and it'd be fascinating to get your perspective on this, I think as you engage so many of the ISVs and build those partnerships as part of the program, where do you see the platform? You get the chance to look in a crystal ball. Where do you see the platform? Not Z18, not the next box, but where do you see the platform 3, 5, 10 years out from now? You see a lot of those people coming on to the platform for the first time. Where do you see that trajectory of where we're going?
Yes, I think that it's a really tough question because technology is moving so fast.
Yeah.
It's a really tough question. But I think we will see much tighter integration with AI and not just assistants. Like really, like I think I mentioned advanced agents. And also it will become completely normal to hear in our everyday conversations about quantum safe cryptography, just like AI. Like it will be.
It'll just become a table stakes conversation. I agree.
Yes. And then from a skill standpoint, I see a trend that system administrators from other platforms are making the shift into mainframe system administrators. And that diversity, I think, is going to bring more innovation into the platform. Yes.
I think the innovation piece gets ignored, and I think you're right to bring it out. I think there's a lot to that. The continual innovation from IBM on the platform. We've seen it with Z17 and Spire and the AI piece. But you look back, over the it's a continual innovation story, and that's powerful for me.
Yes, absolutely. But I think, collaboration and the diversity of the mainframe community, right? And we see it across different communities like the Open Mainframe. Those communities are also bringing innovation into the platform. So we're definitely going to see more of that because of the diversity of the people that work with the mainframe.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Natalie, thank you so much for being on the show. You've been listening to another episode of the I'm a Mainframer podcast, where we highlight mainframers' journey on the platform. If you like what you've heard here today, check out our other episodes and click and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you for tuning in to the Mainframe Connect podcast and this episode in the I Am a Mainframer series, sponsored by Phoenix Software International and Vicom Infinity, a Converge company. Like what you heard? Subscribe to get every episode, or watch us online at openmainframeproject.org. Until next time, this is the Mainframe Connect podcast.